Hello and welcome to another episode of Stuff Show. I'm your host, Stephanie Stone. Thank you for tuning in. Did you know goldfish can live up to 30 years and koi from koi ponds can live up to 200 years? Sea anemone and coral can live forever. To find out more about fish, coral, and how sea environments can prolong our lives here on land is fish and coral expert Frank the Fish Guy, Frank Falesch, from Old Orchard Aquarium here in beautiful Skokie, Illinois. Hey, Frank.
Thanks for
having me. Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. You can help prolong our lives here on land. How is that? How do fish help us do that?
Well, they help you relax, and that's a big stress reliever. Most people intend to do it. They get home from work, instead of sitting down in front of the TV, you like to, oh, look, sit down, watch your fish swim. It's calm, relaxing. Some people find it more soothing, just listening to water run, things like that. It's more of a kind of a tranquil, peaceful environment.
Okay, yeah, because the aquarium experience is a fun and relaxing kind of activity that kind of replaces video games, TV, and playing golf, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I have several at home, my aquariums, besides at work.
You have three.
Yeah, I have three right now.
Is there some regulation on collection of coral? Or?
Yes.
And does coral supply a lot of oxygen?
Coral reefs do help with that a lot. They produce more than the rainforest. Even the algae that grow in the ocean produce more oxygen than a rainforest does.
It's amazing. So that's really something environmentally that protects everyone on Earth.
Yeah, it's amazing how much is actually produced. I forget what the exact percentage is, but majority of our oxygen is produced by single-celled algae that are plankton.
Prolonging our lives here on land, what goes on underneath the oceans with the coral is really what's providing the oxygen above the water.
Right. Without
it's amazing.
Without that, there would not be enough oxygen to support life at the levels we are.
That is amazing. Now. And this is strictly regulated by all over the world?
It's strictly regulated, but it's country by country.
Okay.
Every country has different regulations in that because they all control their different areas of the reef. Used to be years ago, they used to use cyanide poisoning to catch fish. And it would get everybody would go through all the shipping, it would get to somebody's house, and then they would die. Well, it's come back through the industry that we don't want it. So first homeowners were doing it, people who were buying them as pets, then the stores are saying we're not buying it if you're getting it from there. So that's come back and actually changed the way some of the fishermen catch it. Besides the impact on that, it also has environmental impact that cyanide poisoning was killing the reefs. So it was actually wiping out the fishing for any of the local fishermen who were using it. U.S., it's federally regulated. You can't import any of these species that they put on the endangered species list, and most countries tend to follow that. So you can't get it here. It's hard to say in some of the countries because some of those they eat as food. So it's not as locally, it's not as regulated. Most clownfish, Nemos, that's what people refer to them. Most of those are captive bred now. So very few are taken from the wild anymore.
And why is that?
It's not damaging the reef. It's not taking from the wild. We're not diminishing any populations for that. Most freshwater fish are all raised in farms.
Tell me if this is correct. Water movement plus coral plus fish equals life. Is that correct?
It does. Fish and other things like that. If you look at Florida, a lot of the reefs died back because a sea urchin that was eating the algae got wiped out by a bacteria. Not completely wiped out, but reduced in numbers. So they've been trying to get them back up because as soon as the urchins disappeared, algae started taking over, choking out the corals. Well, then there was no place for the fish to hide. So all the fish started losing fish. So the fishing industries got hurt like that. It went all the way up to the big groupers because as their food disappeared, they did it. And it was just because one little urchin virus went through and wiped out most of those.
Wow. So a lot of stuff going on in the water.
Yeah.
There's a whole drama going on.
Fish.
This lionfish eats like a ton of food. Like it's got a voracious appetite. Like the lionfish is like the kind of fish, like if they had buffets for fish, the buffets would go out of business because the lionfish eats so much.
Pretty much. I'm sure you've seen videos of it. They suck up their food whole. So they'll go along, they'll wait for a fish to swim by, and it's gone. They can eat anything their size.
And they trap like large schools of fish, and they eat them all at once.
They try to.
Oh, they're terrible.
They're a predator, and the problem is in the Atlantic, there's no natural predator for them, like in the Pacific where they're from.
So they're the king of the Atlantic.
For the most part, I mean, there's not a lot of predators that eat them because they're poisonous.
And it's interesting how they got to the Atlantic because it was
They're not sure. They say it's either from the ballast of a ship going through the channels and everything and releasing young in the thing, or there was from when one of the hurricanes threw, they think people's aquarium fish got washed out. They haven't been able to say where.
So you went to school in Hawaii?
Yes.
Do you miss it?
Of course. Hawaii Pacific University.
Yeah, you got your BS in marine biology.
Correct.
You and Justin and many others there are experts. You have a degree, and you get training from your vendors, and you also go out and get training at schooling and so forth.
Schooling, some of that.
Ongoing.
Yeah, we also work with each other a lot. Some of us have different areas where we're better in and things like that. We're always sharing knowledge. If we don't know something, we're going to turn to the other guy and go, okay, what do you think about this? What about that? Things like that.
That's why you're the fish and coral expert. And the others are too.
Yeah, everybody has varying degrees. Some of the guys are better at freshwater, some are better at saltwater. My main focus is, because marine biology, I'm more into the fish, but I do pay attention to the coral, the inverts, the hermit crabs, snails, all the kind of interesting creatures that you get pop up.
Oh, I was talking, I spent almost 2 hours at your aquarium. It is so interesting. I was talking to you and Justin. Justin is considered like the coral expert, I guess. Yeah. And I was surprised coral is immortal.
Technically, yes. Each polyp could do it, but the whole colony as itself, as long as environment's right, will continue to live forever. Even though it's an animal, you can propagate it. Right, you can propagate it like plants. So some corals you can actually break it off, which is called fragmentation. It's shortened into frags, and you can glue them, and they'll grow onto different pieces of plugs, which are cement or acrylic.
You can have a little fish bowl for under $10. And it's very, very cute.
Beta would be a good choice for like a bowl. Usually we recommend a bigger tank and aquarium if you want to do more fish, even goldfish. I mean, goldfish will get 12 inches and live 30 years, so you need a bigger tank. Betas can go like a little 1 gallon, weekly water change, things like that, feeding a couple pellets a day, and they can live 5 to 7 years. Yeah, the nice thing about the betas are they can actually breathe air, so if they need to, they can breathe air. They can come out to the surface and do it. They also you don't have to have a heater on it like some of the other fish, so it's just room temperature water, just a little dechlorination, and feed them a couple pellets a day.
If you get freshwater fish and not coral, you can get a starter aquarium for under $100.
Yeah, you could get a nice peaceful community tank with some tetras or...
Cool.
You could do Danios, there's a couple different fish species you can kind of mix together. With a 10-gallon tank, you're a little limited, but there's still 20 or 30 different species that you could choose to put in there.
Both freshwater and
saltwater, it's going to be more expensive, but yes, you could do 1 or 2 fish, maybe a few more depending on what the fish were you were looking at. Yeah,
that's cool because, it sounds like to me, fish are easier to take care of and cost less than dogs.
They do. It is a little bit more of an initial cost to set it up and things like that. And the biggest thing is patience. You can't just go out and buy a tank and then all of a sudden throw all the fish in you want. You got to go slow. You got to wait for the proper bacteria to grow.
When you say bacteria, what do you mean?
There's actual bacteria that converts fish waste from ammonia to nitrite to nitrate. Lighting can be probably the most expensive. It really depends. When you get into reefs, they need higher lighting than fish.
If you're just starting out with fish, it sounds like the recommendation would be freshwater, a 10-gallon tank, and maybe 1 or 2 fish, and then wait for the bacteria to develop, and then see about getting another fish or a larger tank.
Right. What you do is, you could do 1 or 2 fish. You get the tank home, set it all up, make sure everything's working, the heater's on. Next day you come in, you get your first couple fish, 2, 3 fish.
And you name them.
You have to wait for the bacteria to actually grow. It can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months before you have the proper ones. And then you can add a few more fish, wait for the bacteria to catch up, and like that.
Cool.
It takes patience, and you have to be diligent on the maintenance. A lot of families come in, what they'll do is they'll get their first fish tank for their young kid come in, and then it's like, okay, you set it up, all right, come in, pick up fish. All right, couple weeks, bring in a water sample, we test it. If it's good, they can get a few more fish and things. It's good for teaching patience and, about life and death. Discipline is another one because you really have to make sure you keep up on the maintenance. It's not a lot of work if you stay on top of things.
Do you find that the families you sell to, they maintain it?
For the most part, yeah. It's if you know, that's one thing I say, find somebody you trust, somebody you get along with to help you with that, because everybody's going to give you slightly different information. I mean, at the store, we're all going to basic things like that, but if you go to different stores, you go online, you're going to get different information. And some of it's good, some of it's bad, and you just got to find out what it is and what works for you. What works for one person's tank might not work for everybody's.
Cool. Wow. They're their own little environment.
Yes, it's you got to remember, it's an ecosystem you're trying to reproduce in a little glass bowl.
Ah, yes, that's true. You're trying to bring the ocean or the lake into your little container. And do you go out, do you personally go out, or do you have other people that go out and service and answer questions? And
I don't service. Yes, we do have a team of, we have 3 guys who that's all they do full time, is they go and they take care of, maintain people's tanks and things like that.
They develop relationships with these people.
Oh yes, they come in.
They go there every month.
They're there at least every month. Sometimes more, sometimes less.
How is that? How do they like that?
They like it. I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy the customers coming in. As you help them through that, you know, you develop a relationship. You know what's in their tanks. You know what kind of fish they like and things like that. And it's always.
So it's the kind of thing, you know what they like and don't like, so you can advise them on a fish they may not know about, but you know they're going to love it.
Right. And another thing, love when they bring them in and you see pictures of their tanks and you see how it's improved, and this is how it started and this is what it is.
You hobbyists, you saved the Endler?
Endler's guppies,
Yes.
yeah. Like the Endler's guppies, this was a freshwater fish. It was, I believe it was Venezuela. They only came from one lake in the world. What happened is they got into the industry, people are taking care of it, and pollution ended up getting in the lake. It wiped out all the fish. So a bunch of the hobbyists got together, bred the strains true, reintroduced them back to the lake so that they're back there. Banggai cardinals only come from one island. They're saltwater fish. They were getting overfished, so what they did is they took a small population of it and went to a nearby island and released them there so that there was a second area just in case something was to happen to it, that they could still be introduced back to the main island.
So like a backup civilization.
Yes.
Cool.
They're also one of the few that can actually be raised by hobbyists. Most saltwater fish can't. Hobbyists do have a very big beneficial noticeable effect on that. The thing is, hobbyists are usually doing it just for the love of it. Any corporation has to make money, and it's hard to make money on new species. So most of the discoveries are either private institutions that have money, or government, or just somebody doing it in their house.
But if you can combine money and a passion, then you've really got it made in the shade.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what you do at your work, because you're doing what you love. Would you say that for people out there watching, that fish are easy to take care of? Or
you have to enjoy it. You have to be willing to sit there and go, yes, I want to see this. You want to see it every day. You don't mind getting your hand dirty, scrubbing a little bit.
Scrubbing a little bit. So 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes
If
a day. Wow, cool. And it's enjoyable and provides therapy.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. This has been Frank Falesch. He's the fish guy, the fish and coral expert, and among many, at the Old Orchard Aquarium here in beautiful Skokie. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching another episode of Stuff Show. My name is Stephanie Stone. See you next time. Bye. I hope you enjoyed it. I think really good. I was holding this the whole time, so I'm not sure.